So this is the Anycubic Kobra 3 Max, and it's big. It's got a build volume of 420 by 420 by 500. It's bigger than Creality's Ender 5. It's bigger and faster than Elegoo's Neptune 4 Max, allegedly. And when you team it up with the Ace Pro, it turns into this massive multicolour productivity powerhouse, if you can fit it in. And it works. And we're going to come back to some of the problems I faced in just a little bit. But for now, let's talk about this printer. So I'm coming into this review as a bit of a noob, to be honest with you. Unlike resin printers, where frankly I've got quite a lot of experience in using different machines now, when it comes to FDM, not so much. In fact, this is my first bed slinging FDM printer. And if you're not familiar with the term bed slinger, it's just where the bed of the printer moves forward and backwards, while the gantry moves left, right, up, down. My only other FDM printer is my Creality K1C, which is a Core XY printer, and it's very much an out-of-the-box affair. So this is new territory, but I'm on a constant quest to dive deeper and deeper into 3D printing. And this is my next step. Now out of the box, it's a pretty simple affair. Undo the brackets holding it all in place, stand up the gantry, secure it with the support rods. You can adjust these by adjusting the end of the screws if you want to, but I didn't have to, mine worked straight out of the box. It's pretty simple, and if you follow the instructions, you will be good. There are more screws involved when you attach the screen, which attaches to the frame with no ribbon cable, the print head slotted into place with a few more screws, and the wiring, which is a sexy orange colour, also has a few more screws. Back to that print head, and the nerdy amongst you will have spotted it's a different print head to the one that's fitted on the Kobra. That's because this one has a hardened steel nozzle. Now, as I say, I'm still learning about all this sort of stuff, and how much difference this will make to your generic printing experience, I don't know. I'm basically only printing in PETG and in PLA at the moment, so it's not going to make too much difference to my printing experience. But if you have some more experience with this sort of thing, or you have lots of hours with this machine, please do leave a comment down below, because I'm sure other people read them and it helps them. The air duct fitted under the printer head is new though, and that directs all the air towards the nozzle, which is also controlled by a little lever, so if you need to, you can replace the nozzle with one hand. This little bracket is held in place with a magnet and two little catches at the top. It's not the most secure thing. In fact, mine actually popped off during printing. Only happened once, but that's just something to bear in mind. Obviously with this printer, the big thing, pun intended, is the size. Now, as I said, I'm still learning here, and what the website doesn't tell you is you need to account for all the space around the printer too. So while the printer is a massive 606 by 640 by 653 millimeters, you actually realistically need 900 by 700 by 800 to fit into your workspace. Plus, you need an additional 600 for putting in the Ace unit on the left of the printer. And you do need to put it on the left of the printer because that's the way the sort of the Bowden tubes are angled to avoid any foul ups and clogs and that sort of stuff. So basically, you need a lot more space than you think you do, and I need a bigger workshop. Now, if you don't buy an Ace Pro with a printer, it comes ready to go out the box with one PTFE tube or Bowden tube. I think that's the name for him. But if you do buy the Ace Pro, you'll need to make a couple of adaptations too. You need to swap the single tube for a 4-tube mount. You need to swap the cutter on the side, and then you need to connect all of this whole lot up to the side of the printer and fit in these natty little cable separators, which I really like. They're very satisfying to use. With the printer in its new home, we can fire it up and get stuck into the UI, which for the most part was great. The screen is a decent size. It's about the same size as my iPhone, and very responsive. And then you can hook up your printer to your app and to your slicer. A quick little grumble though. Do you remember mobile phones from the 90s? Yeah, because that's the input method they use here, and it's really annoying. I've no idea why they did this. The screen is more than big enough for a full QWERTY keyboard. So Anycubic, maybe can you update the UI to include a full QWERTY keyboard? Thank you. But in reality, you only have to use this once or twice, so I guess first world problems, eh? In terms of missing features, as I say, this is my first bed slinger, so I actually don't know what I don't know. I will say though that I did miss having a camera. There's a camera fitted on my K1C, and I really love watching it generate prints. I can generate time lapses and all that sort of stuff. Nothing like that in the box, although there's some aftermarket ones I've seen in other videos, so I'm definitely going to try and add that into the mix later. Once it's connected to the network though, it's plain sailing. The app works, the slicer works, but as I said, I'm not hugely experienced with the FDM printing, so I need a bit more time just to get to grips with the whole thing. But for now, I just want to print some stuff. So let's pop some filament in the ACE unit, and that gives us a good time to talk about that unit. To set it up, it's simple enough. You just plug it in, turn it on, add the filament, and then in the slicer itself you change the type of filament and change the colour and the order it's in, and you're basically good to go. To set the unit up physically, you just feed the end of your filament into the little orange holes, and the unit basically does the rest itself, sorting out all the retractions and pull-throughs and feeding them down the pipes. It's quite satisfying to watch, actually. When the machine's working, it'll handle all the loading and unloading of the filaments, and probably the best feature is it will automatically swap spools when you run out. For the majority of the printing, I've been making a giant plant pot for an avocado tree we grew last year, and so I used about 2 kilos of filament, and the printer handled the swap between the two filaments in the middle of the night, so that when I woke up, it was just happily carrying on printing. This is the way things should work, without me even knowing. Little input from me as possible, thank you very much. It did occasionally run into issues with things like clogs inside the print head, but when that happened, the printer just paused. I came and investigated, hit restart, and it had to think about it and then carried on going as normal. So again, no issues from me on that front. I was also able to pause the printer mid-print when I needed to, have a quick look at stuff and then restart it, which it did without any major issues or without any sort of like Z offset or any other weird discrepancies in the print quality, which I was really pleased to see. But the last main feature about that ACE unit is it is also a drying box. Now, most of the filament I was using here was basically brand new out of the packet, so I didn't get a lot of time to test it, but I did see some stringing towards the end of the 3-day plant pot print. I did see some stringing towards the end of the 3-day plant pot print, and that's probably caused by a little bit too much moisture in the filament, so before I start the next print I'll definitely use the drying feature. So there's a rundown of the printer's main features. It's a pretty basic affair, to be honest with you. It's a bed slinging printer that has all the basics you need to be able to just get started very quickly out of the box. I really like it. There's not really too much more to say. It's very big and it works. But I do just want to very quickly talk about the sort of things you can use this sort of stuff for, because when people ask me about 3D printers, and I run a YouTube channel about 3D printers, so occasionally this happens. When people ask me about the stuff, I tell them that what I mainly print are miniatures so that I can paint them at home. But in my next breath I then say, actually though, resin printers aren't always the safest things to have around, particularly if you've got young kids or pets, or you don't have a dedicated space. There's lots of sticky resins and hazardous chemicals to use, lots of cleanup, spills. It's just not always the safest thing to have at home. Whereas FDM printers are much cleaner, much tidier, much more self-contained without any of the sticky things that go with resin. And so what I've started mentioning when I'm talking to friends is that actually there are services out there which can print resin miniatures for you, and that could be a really good alternative for you. So I've got a friend of mine who's sponsoring this video. He runs a site called Minimaker. Now Minimaker is an absolutely fantastic site. It's based in Europe, in Poland to be precise, and the good thing about sites like that is if you want to make your own resin miniatures, and you should do, the detail on them is incredible, and you can access a whole range of models that you just can't access anywhere else. You can just nip onto his website and order from his store, and he will handle all the printing, he will handle all the cleanup, he will handle all the removing of supports, so that when it comes to you getting a model, all you have to do is open a box, decide what colours you want to paint it, and paint it. It's really, really convenient. He prints in 3 different tiers, so he prints in a highly detailed tier, gaming tier, and then a sort of a more budget tier for bases and stuff like that. So you can pick your budget and work around it. And as I say, you can either order models directly from his website, or you can send him STLs that you already own and he'll print them for you. And if you use the code RisingApe at checkout, you get another 10% off any purchases you make. Minimaker is a real hobbyist like you and me. He paints models, albeit slowly. He's on my Discord and he's only just finished painting the Cursed City box set. So if you want resin miniatures and you don't have access to a resin printer, then do go and check out minimaker.com and support someone who's really into the hobby like you and me. Anyway, we're here to talk about an FDM printer, so let's talk about the models that came off this thing. The first was a standard Benchy, which outside of looking a little bit lost on this giant build platform, came out great. This one took about 50 minutes to print, but when it's stacked up against the one from my K1C, it looks wicked. It's worth bearing in mind the one on the K1C was a speed run and completed in 15 minutes, but it's a decent benchmark. The second prints are a set of Nerf blasters for the family. The first set in pink came out great, but I supported that one because I didn't really know what I was doing. The second set, I read the instructions for the files and they said they were able to be printed without supports, so I gave that a go. But 3 attempts later and I still hadn't managed to have a successful print. Most of the issues I ran into were around bed adhesion, so either they weren't sticking to the plate itself or the layers weren't adhering and then they were sort of separating and then sort of stringing up and ending with this sort of tangled spaghetti mess of blue plastic. So in the end I just supported them again and printed off and it all worked fine. The quality's a bit rough and I can definitely improve things here, but like I say, I'm feeling my way and learning as I go with FDM printing, so if you've got any advice for me, do chuck it down in the comments. The last and main test for this printer while I was reviewing it though was the plant part I mentioned earlier. I wanted to test not only the size of the thing and print something really big, but I also wanted to test multicolour changing. Now I made a couple of mistakes right off the bat, mainly in the fact that I've never actually printed multicolour before, so I tried to colour it in myself and let's just say it was a bit janky. We'll come to that. But I also probably made some mistakes with the type of infill I used, which may have extended the print a little bit. Now, the overall print time was about 3 days and 6 hours, which frankly really surprised me. I'm used to printing resin miniatures and it taking sort of like 6 to 8 hours or something like that, maybe even faster. That wasn't the case here, but it was really cool to watch the thing building up layer by layer by layer, and at the end of the day, the thing I'm printing is really bloody big, so yeah, there's that too. The colour changes worked perfectly. The printer handled absolutely everything. It just it started in pink, swapped to black when it needed to. When the black ran out, it swapped to another spool of black, and when it came towards printing the blue at the end, it swapped straight over into that as well. I really can't ask for more than that, to be honest with you. It just did exactly what I wanted when I wanted it to do it. And yeah, you can see what I mean by the janky blue colours. I don't quite know how I managed this on the top. I'm sure I coloured it in properly, but I clearly did something very wrong, and I'm just going to call it a happy accident and move on. Thankfully the plant part didn't fail, and yeah, I was really pleased with the outcome. Thank you, printer. So I obviously can't tell you if you think this is a value for money printer. What I can tell you is it does what it says it does, and it does it very well. It's a big 3D printer that prints big things nicely, and I can say it handled all the problems in a simple to understand and easy to overcome way and just carried on regardless. Like I say, I'm a big fan of this printer and I'm really glad I got the opportunity to test it. So the only question that you need to ask yourself is, do you need a printer that's this big? If the answer is yes, I would have no problems whatsoever recommending this one. So if you've enjoyed this video, please give the video a like and consider subscribing to the channel to see more content like this. We have a very busy next few months of loads of exciting stuff and I cannot wait to share it with you. If you're more into reading about stuff, I have a newsletter that is linked below, and every month I give away a free STL, so do go and sign up for that. And all that is left for me to say now is a huge thank you to everyone who supports me over on Patreon, joins in the chats over on my Discord, participates in the comments. You're all legends. Thank you so much. This has been RisingApe Minis. I'm James, and I'll see you next time.